Hello, welcome back to 50 Years of Spartans and Beyond. I'm John Schwartz, and joining me today is a man who will need no introduction for the members of the Case Western Reserve community, Fred DiSanto. Fred is a 1985 graduate of Case Western Reserve University, where he was an outstanding quarterback on the undefeated 1984 football team, a key player on the basketball team, and a four-time all-conference pitcher for the baseball team. He received his bachelor's degree in management science from CWRU in 1985, and then went on to earn his MBA from the Weatherhead School of Management. Fred is also about to begin his term as chair of the Board of Trustees at CWRU next month. And Fred, I'll ask you this. I imagine after playing three sports, being the chair of the Board of Trustees is probably a cinch compared to that, less of a time, use.
Yeah, well, I would tell you that, Barbara Snyder and her team have done an unbelievable job at the university over the last 12 years. As you know, we're in the middle of a search for a new president, and then throw in the coronavirus and what it's done to the nation. It's probably a little bit more time than I thought it was going to be, but we're going to get through it, and the university will survive and be stronger.
Well, we'll come back to that a little bit later and talk a little bit about kind of, some of your postgraduate work. But I wanted, if you can, take us back to before you even came to Case Western Reserve. You joined a football team that had one winning season since the university federated up until 1982. Obviously, you were an outstanding local athlete. What brought you to Case Western Reserve to become a member of not only the football team, but basketball and baseball as well?
Yeah. I born and bred in Cleveland, went to St. Ignatius. There was a guy named Bill Sudek who is infamous at Case. And I had planned on going up east, and for some family issues and personal stuff going on, Bill Sudek called me and he said, "Hey, why don't you come on down to Case?" And I said, okay, went down, showed me the campus. We had lunch, and he said, "Listen, you'll be able to play three sports here." I'm like, "Three sports?" He said, "Yeah, you'll be able to play three sports." I said, "Well, I want to play basketball and baseball. I really don't know if I want to play football." And he said, "You just try it out." So got into the school. I don't know if I'd get in today with the requirements they have now, but went on and the football program was on a thread, holding on by a thread. I mean, there were times that we didn't have enough people to have practice, 11 on 11. And they needed a quarterback. I had actually played slot back in high school, had played quarterback earlier on, and they said, "Hey, would you play quarterback?" I'm like, "Okay, sure." And we ended up going 0-9, I believe 0-9 my freshman year. They brought in Jim Chapman, who recently has passed away, who really transformed the football program. Next thing you know, we start bringing kids in, good quality kids in, and really good players. And went, 5-3, I think, my sophomore year, 8-1 my junior year, and 9-0 my senior year. And back then, they only had 8 teams in the playoffs. So we were very disappointed we didn't get in the playoffs when a team we beat got into the playoffs. And but they were just in a different region, different geography. And but at the end of the day, won our conference championship, and the program really has been, I think, a program that a lot of Division III schools look at because of the academic demands you have on the kids at Case or the young men at Case, and how Coach Doublak has just really done an unbelievable job taking this program to I believe to the next level.
If you can, I want to ask you about two people that you mentioned in that, and one is Coach Sudek and the other is Coach Chapman. I don't know if there's a story in your mind that sticks out about both or something about them, but Those are two of the legendary coaches in program history, and probably two coaches that our athletes, while they've heard a lot about, don't necessarily know a lot about. I was hoping you could describe a little bit about both of those to us.
Bill Sudak, I love Bill Sudak. He was he cared about his kids. He followed his kids uh, uh, after after they graduated. He used to say, "You know how many kids I got that played for me that's making over six figures?" I said, "No, coach, how many?" That was one of his recruiting tools. What he used to do, if you go into the gym and there's like a window, that's right behind the basket. That's where the offices are for the athletic coaches, the athletic department. And he would be recruiting kids. He said, "Listen, if I can bounce a basketball into the hoop, and the hoop was on the side, you're coming to Case." And I am telling you, 9 out of 10 times, he made the bucket. 9 out of 10 times. And he was a person that I believe really loved basketball, but more importantly, loved seeing his kids grow into really men, and then going on into the business world or wherever they were going to. And really took pride in their successes. Great guy. Now Chapman was fiercely competitive. I mean, fiercely competitive. And his goal was to win, which was nothing wrong with that. And he would he was not the easiest guy to play for, where Sudak was really easy to play for. Chapman probably put a lot more demands on you. His expectations of you were a lot higher. I mean, he and I used to, get into it every once in a while. But at the end of the day, what he did, and I think what he did extremely well, we were so well prepared for our games with him, as the head coach versus our competition. We may not have had the as great a talent, but we were clearly prepared. He was an unbelievable person as it relates to putting a game plan together against the team. And our senior year when we went 9-0, there were some close games, but we never felt that we were ever going to lose. And I think that was something that he instilled in all of us.
Yeah, that 1984 team is one of the legendary teams in Case Western Reserve still to this day. And it seemed like a very close group, again, still to this day, it seems like a close group. Can you tell us a little bit about that team and what made it such a special team, both on the field and off?
A lot of talent. I don't think there were, it wasn't about the individual, it was about the team. And I think that's one of the greatest things that team sports provide. It provides, the ability for the individuals to not think about themselves, but think about the team as a whole. And when you take a look around on that team, the guys like Freddie Manley, Jimmy Donnelly, Dave Stuzinski, God rest his soul. I mean, we had, Rafe on the line. You had Ronnie Stepanovic. You had Jimmy Rayfith. You had Kurt Walcott. I mean, you got guys that were just good quality people. I still talk to many of them very frequently. I talk to Kurt Walcott, Jimmy Rayfith. I see Ronnie Stepanovic every once in a while. I'll talk to Mark. Mark Trubiano was he worked for the sports information director. So Mark was at all our games. He was great. And, I just think you had a camaraderie that I think people went through, at least the seniors. A lot of the seniors went through an 0-9 season, and then you saw the turnaround that happened coming into our senior year. And I just think it was very special. I mean, it was a lot of fun. There was a lot of fun, and there was a lot of support at the university for us, which was critical.
So you leave Case Western Reserve and you obviously go on to an outstanding career, and we'll talk a bit about that here in a second. But there was a stop in between. You signed with the Browns after you left Case
Yeah,
Western
yeah.
Reserve.
Yeah,
Can you tell us a little bit about that experience
yeah,
and
that
what that
experience, it was an interesting experience because, I played quarterback. I really didn't like to get hit. And when Marty Schottenheimer was the coach, and I just remember going into the workouts, and they moved me to H-back. And I remember Paul McDonald saying something to me like, "Are you out of your mind?" And believe me, they were fighting in line to get to me, to hit me. I was 175 pounds or whatever I was. And, but, I will tell you this, the one thing it showed me is that it is a real job. I mean, even back then, it was very intense, um, very challenging. And, I have a lot of respect for those guys and what they go through every day to get on the field on Sunday. It was tough. It was really tough. But at the end of the day, things worked out for the best for me.
Yeah. Well, I've been told that your channel for athletic competition has changed a little bit now. I've also been told that you're a scratch golfer here as well. So I'm going to ask you, do you have a favorite course that you've been to, or a favorite one that you've seen, or anything?
I listen. I love playing. I love it's all about the people you play with. There's some great courses I've played. Locally, I play at the Pepper Pike Club in Canterbury. But there are just some great courses. I took a trip out the West Coast with my wife. We had played great golf courses. And, there's some great golf courses here in Ohio and Pennsylvania, the golf club down in Columbus, Laurel Valley, and right outside of Latrobe, which was Arnold Palmer's place. I mean, there's some great places that I love to play. And again, it's all about who you play with, so.
Tell us a little bit, if you can, about your career arc. What happened after you left Case Western Reserve? We know you went on to get your MBA.
Yeah. While I was getting my master's at Case, I started working in the research department at McDonald Company. And after I graduated, went into institutional equity sales there, and was there for a couple of years. Went to Prescott in the same capacity, and then in 1991 set up our first investment management firm called Gelfand Partners. I think I was 28 or 29. Merged that with a firm called Maxis Investment Group, where I became president, and we ended up selling it to Fifth Third Bank back in 2000. I stayed with the bank for a little over 4 years, and then rejoined a partner of mine, Richard Barone, who started Ancora with kind of friends and family. And then I think when I got there, we had 5 or 6 employees, and now have grown it to, I think we've got 84, 85 people. We're offices in Michigan, Detroit, and down in Florida, in Naples. Manage a little over $7.5 billion. Big tenet of mine is that people that add value should own a piece of the firm. I think that stems from my team sports, that people that add value should participate in the growth and the equity of the firm, and I think that's really been a key ingredient on why we've been successful. And obviously we have very talented and smart people, a lot smarter than I am.
Well, you mentioned a little bit too about athletics and that influencing your mindset. Can you give us a couple of examples about how your experience in athletics and what you learned from that, especially at Case, how that helped you kind of formulate who you were?
Well, being competitive, liking to win. We like to say, and in Ancora, winning's a good word. It's not a bad word to go out and win and compete. I think competing on a daily basis has been critical to, it's just who I am. I love to compete, I love to win, but at the same time, you can't do it yourself. So the team environment, as it relates to team sports, everyone plays a role. My job is to ensure that the right people are in the right positions. So it gives us the highest probability to succeed and be successful. We don't win every day. We don't win every time. We don't win every time we try to, compete for a client, but putting everybody in the right position to at least give us the highest probability to do that, I think has been critical to our success. So, playing sports, being involved in a team, being able to coexist within a team is critical. And I think if you talk to anybody at our firm, we take time when we bring new team members in because they have to fit. They have to fit. The selfish, the Lone Ranger won't fit with our company. They just won't. And knock on wood, we've been very successful in bringing on new team members and them succeeding. So it's been a great run. The other thing that the firm is a big believer in is giving back to the community. And we probably support 60 to 70 different organizations within the community financially, both financially and time.
Well, and it seems like giving back has been a bit of a theme in your life as well, whether it's St. Ignatius or Case Western Reserve. You talk about tenants. Why has that been one of the tenants in your own personal life as well?
I think one, I've been fortunate that my wife is a big believer in that too, to give back. But I think I'm a believer that both Ignatius and Case have been instrumental in forming who I am, and I've been afforded to have some success. And I think I think it's my responsibility to give back, not only monetarily, but I think my time. And I won't get involved in something if I'm not actively involved in it. So, when I joined the Case board, I became very active pretty quickly on the investment committee, and then on the executive committee, and then recently, starting in July, will be the new board chair, which, to be quite frankly, I'm very honored. Never thought, when I was at Case, that I'd ever lead the board at the university I went to. But and the other thing is there's just great people involved at this university, board, on the trustee side, on the leadership side, and then in the rank and file. They're just great. There's some really good, high quality people, and it's great to see the transformation the university has gone through over the last 12 years.
What's one of the things that excites you about this opportunity that you're going to have to be the board chair over the course of the next? I think it's a 2-year term, correct?
I think it's a 4-year term.
4-year term. Sorry. So what excites you about that opportunity?
I don't know what excites me. Well, it's going to be a challenge. I think we're in a difficult time. I think it's. I think the university, when you take a look at some of the things that Barbara has put in place, I think this whole medical education campus, the new dental school, what we've done and what she has done and the university has done as it relates to that the whole North Campus, the picture behind you, and the continued development of that. And now I think, the focus on really trying to build our endowment up to where we can provide tuition assistance, I think is going to be something that is going to be critical to the university as we look 3, 5, 10 years from now.
You mentioned the field behind me, and I'd like to ask you about that. It's DiSanto
Sure.
Field. It's named after you. What did it mean to have the field here, the football and soccer field at Case Western Reserve, named after you?
Well, I mean, it's a pretty humbling, but again, I think that what that whole area provides, I think the school is a great center point for school spirit. I think it's a great center point for students to get together. If you take a look at the Wyant, field house and the facility they have there, and then what they've done down in the locker rooms, I just think it's pretty humbling.
One last question for you, Fred, and it's what we've been asking all of the people we've been interviewing. Obviously, you're in a position that many of our current student athletes would love to be in a number of years from now. What's your advice to them going forward? What can they take from their careers at Case and carry that forward?
The one thing that I think is critical in being successful, and success is not measured by how much money you make. I think success is measured by when you wake up in the morning, you can't wait to get to where you're going, and having a passion for that. I remember talking to my son TJ and saying, listen, I don't know what you want to do. I can't tell you what to do. You have to figure it out. But the only thing I ask you is, when you wake up in the morning, you say, God, I can't wait to get where I'm going. And I don't care if that is a coach, a teacher, professor, an investment banker, a lawyer, a doctor, whatever it is. Have that passion, because I think what happens is people can feel the passion you have in the profession that you are in. So having that passion and excitement, and I do think that competitive spirit, you can be competitive without being offensive. I'm a big believer in writing down goals. I write down goals every year, and I look at them in the middle of the year and see where I'm at, both professionally and personally. And I think those little things that remind you of where you're trying to get to is critical in anyone that's trying to be successful. And listen, there's a lot of failures in life. I fail all the time. It's what you do with those failures. Do you learn from them? Do you get up and keep marching on? I think that is absolutely critical in trying to be successful in whatever field that you're in.
Fred, thank you so much for joining us today. Again, I think it's something.
Keep doing a great job. I get all your emails. It's great to see the information flow coming out of the athletic area. I'm a big believer in athletics, and I can't thank you enough for everything you do for the school.